By one count, Pumpkin Tits has made more than 20,000 false or misleading claims since he started squatting in the White House. And from his point of view, why not lie since it makes everything so fucking easy? Instead of working his way up the political ladder by first running for lesser offices, Pumpkin Tits catapulted himself into the 2016 the presidential primaries, which he should have never been elected anyway, by participating in friendly forums like Faux and promoting the false birther claim about President Obama. A disappointing inauguration day turnout, no problem, just make up alternative lies. That was the biggest inauguration crowd in history, and annoying cable news hosts like MSNBC's Joe Scarborough Easy just basically accused him of murder. By and large, the line worked well for Pumpkin Tits because it allowed him to dominate as his victims retreated or futilely raged. Republicans averted their eyes and Democrats looked helpless to stop him. He ran into problems when he downplayed the threat of the coronavirus, but his Waterloo has been to file lawsuits that, at their core, allege he and not Joe Biden won the 2020 election, even though we know Joe Biden won. Um, Perhaps he was persuaded to go to court by his attorney, Rudy Kaludi, even though Kaludi hasn't seen the inside of a courtroom in decades. Perhaps Pumpkin Tits persuaded him that he was untouchable even in a courtroom. After all, hadn't he gotten away with tens of thousands of lies? Whatever the motivation, the litigation strategy had been a predictable disaster because it meant submitting unsupported claims about the 2020 election to courts with the zero tolerance for unsupported claims. And no courts have a greater tolerance for such claims than federal courts, where the Pumpkin Tits campaign and its allies filed some of their most sweeping election challenges. A federal district court should never be confused with foe. Federal judges as a group may be among the most focused, purposeful, and substantive public servants in America. They are tough, they have zero tolerance for nonsense, and they sometimes sanction lawyers who file lawsuits without a good faith basis. The sanction risk alone forced the Orange Fuckweasel's lawyers to call the fraud claims from their election lawsuits, but the remaining nickel and dime allegations of election violations hardly fooled the federal judges or the state ones. The federal judges demonstrated that, as Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts once said, there are no Obama judges and no Pumpkin Tits judges, but rather an extraordinary group of dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal rights to those appearing before them. Take the U.S. District Court Judge Brannon in Pennsylvania For example, he was an Obama-appointed judge who was a lifelong conservative Republican and a member of the Federalist Society. In a fair and reasoned and firm opinion, Judge Brand rejected a Pumpkin Tits lawsuit. He wrote that in the United States, the Orange Fuckweasel's campaign, speculative accusations did not come close to justifying the disenfranchisement of a single voter, let alone all the voters of its sixth most populated state. His ruling was affirmed on appeal in an opinion that was written by a Pumpkin Tits appointed judge, and voters not lawyers choose to squatter. The Orange Apes campaign or its allies have lost nearly 40 lawsuits. The most relief that they obtained was to position poll observers 4 feet closer to the ballot counting tables. The coup de grace may have been the disclosure by Attorney General Fat Fuck Barr, a 45 nutlicker that who basically that the DOJ had found no evidence of any fraud and that would not change the election outcome anyway. The federal judges are one of the reasons why we are a democracy and not Vladimir Putin's Russia or Alexander Lukashenko's Belarus, or name any other country that's ruled by an authoritarian leader or dictator. But Pumpkin Tits seemed to not understand that when he asked federal judges to, in effect, endorse his baseless election claims, which they empathetically refuse to do the same of preserving American democracy, and at what point does it get that ridiculous? Asked one federal judge in the red of the Pumpkin Tits lawyers before ruling against the Pumpkin Tits campaign. The election lawsuits was basically 45's worst nightmare, and they have turned him into a two-time sore fucking loser, once at the polls and then in the courts, and made him look ridiculous. Well, he always makes himself look ridiculous no matter what he does. But if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Rambam Mike, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.